Hey, hello everyone, and welcome to Extreme Graphics Tech. My name is Angelo, and most of you know me for talking about GPUs and PC hardware, PC games. However, I don't consider myself just a PC gamer. I actually play on every single platform I can. Even though I consider the PC my main platform for many different reasons, I am somebody who likes to follow games. I mean, I will play a game whenever it is on a Game Boy, an Atari 2600, or an RTX 4090. What I like is to play games. So that's why you can see I have a small collection of different platforms: 3DS, Nintendo Switch, Xbox 360, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X. I own them all because I consider myself to play anything anywhere. So this may come to a surprise for some, but yes, I do have my Nintendo Switch because, as I said, for me, it's not about the hardware, it's about the game. However, I like to talk a lot about hardware, and today I want to talk about why I think it is time, or it's been a while that it's time for a Nintendo Switch 2 or Pro or whatever it's supposed to be called. So, I will play any game, no matter what it is. If it's pixel based, if it's a Game Boy game, Atari 2600, as long as it's a good game I have interest in, I don't care about graphics. But this doesn't mean I don't like to see the evolution or technological improvements that come with new hardware. The Nintendo Switch came out in 2017. And if you remember, in 2016, PlayStation launched the PlayStation 4 Pro, and on the same 2017, Microsoft launched the Xbox One X. And the reason for that was because 4K was becoming mainstream, and those old consoles were able to only output to 1080p, with it was okay, but if you were playing on a 4K screen, the image quality was not the best. And I am not even talking about the graphic quality, but just the resolution. The games look a little bit soft, and it depended a lot on the fact that you have a good scaler on your TV or what sort of TV you had. So they released these middle generation consoles. Yes, to make more money, but also for a way for those new people getting 4K TVs to have an improved resolutions and graphics. So imagine then for all those people like myself, and this is a video I recommend watching on 4K, having to play Nintendo Switch games on those screens. Games that in most cases don't even get to 1080p, and most of them we can say there are 720p games. So the first thing is that the Nintendo Switch is going to do a scale up to 1080p, and then your TV will have to take that 1080p up to 4K. I don't mind, and I enjoy the games the same. However, by experimenting a little bit with the emulation, I've been a fan of emulation for a while and I always follow it, but I just wanted to bring this today. You can see how transformative just the resolution change can be for so many Switch games. Some games are really look like something completely different, where you can see more details. Even the resolution seems to change some internal settings where you can see more over the distance and can show more content. I didn't thought that was possible, but there are some games that will show you more while the resolution is higher internally. So that's very particular, and I know this is normal. What I mean is I didn't know this will happen with the emulators, like the game will detect that it's running at a higher resolution and it will, for example, further the draw distance. So you can see some games being really transformative just in clarity by how good they look. And I know a Switch 2 is not going to just bring a more resolution, it's also going to bring more power, which means the game are going to look better because they are going to put more details, polygon, geometry, effects, etc, etc. But this is interesting because when we see this game running at 4K, just by having more resolution, you can already see a big change in them, and some of them looks really crisp and beautiful, to the point where I will say that I will not demand like a more graphic quality if the game just had more resolution, because to begin with, Nintendo is very intelligent when it comes to making games for the Nintendo Switch, because they know the limitations of the system and they know how to play with it to take, you know, more advantage of the game. So their style, the art style, is very good and scale quite good to better resolutions. And even when you look at them at lower resolution, it still looks great. But some other games that were thought to be like made by maybe a third party or are supposed to be multi-platform, you can see that yeah, they do whatever or the best they can with the Switch, but that they were not thought to be as a Switch game. So some games really show you things that you are not able to see on a 1080p or on the Switch screen, and things that come out only when you play them at higher resolution, which is so crazy to think how much are we losing by not having a better hardware on this system. So today, all I wanted to do was just show and allow me to make a video maybe a little bit longer than usual, just to show you some games on the Switch running at 4K, and in some cases even playing some 30 FPS games at 60 FPS, which is also a transformative situation for some games. This is going to be made obviously by using emulation, Yuzu or Ryujinx in some case, depending where I thought the game would run better or what my needs were at the time. So some games may have some glitches and so on. This is not to show that the emulation is perfect or has problem. It's just to show you how transformative resolution only can be in these games, and that's why I think it's already time for Nintendo to put out a Nintendo Switch 2. So let's see this video. Okay, let's start with Link's Awakening at 4K. As you can see, the game here is running at 4K and the image clarity is quite exceptional. It's really good. But this is one of those games where I say Nintendo knows what they're doing with the limitations of the hardware. In this close-up image, you can see the original image against the 4K upscale. And yes, the 4K looks a lot crisper, but you know, the artwork is still preserved and it still works quite good. Even though you are going to be seeing a very soft image on a 4K display, Nintendo knows what they're doing. In any case, however, I will say that the 4K image looks so crisp that it looks really different, like a diorama. This is absolutely closer to what Nintendo was trying to achieve. Now I'm using Kirby Return to Dreamland because this is let's say a simple, more easy game to move. However, you can see that even in those situations, 4K brings a lot to the table in terms of clarity and what the artwork is all about. You can see here that you can appreciate the textures on the background elements that you can see on the normal resolution. You see here, this is a more pleasing image, more vibrant, and you can see every single detail of every element on the screen, which is really nice even for such a simple game like this. So this means that 4K really brings a lot of things to the table when it comes to gaming. So you can see here now the game running at the original resolution. Yes, it looks okay and it looks decent because, as I said, Nintendo knows the limitation and know how to create certain artwork in order to keep it in any case. But however, you can see that you lose a lot of the granular details of the elements on the background when this happens. You can see that the 4K brings a lot more to the forefront and on the background, if that's possible. But it is true. You see here, it's not a bad image per se, but honestly, I would prefer to play this any day at 4K because it honestly looks stunning. Here on Yoshi's Crafted World, this is a game I loved and I have played. Nintendo is a master of details, and you'll see why in a little bit. But you can see here how crisp the image look, how Yoshi and the materials are easy to identify, and they look as they should. In the 1080p original image, which I think is actually 720p, it still look very good considering 720p, because Nintendo, as I said before, we know it knows how to play this, but you can see that you cannot appreciate those little details that the game has, textures, and this is just the first level. It gets more complex when you are more far away. finished this on the Switch, so I don't have that, but to show in here. But I think that the idea is clear. However, now that I'm showing the 720p version, and in general it doesn't seem to look that different except for more clarity. However, you can see the things I was saying about Nintendo knowing what they're doing when you see at the shadows and when you see at the bokeh depth of field. The shadows are better on the lower resolution because Nintendo is using that low resolution to have some sort of soft shadowing, which is not present when you play at higher resolutions. However, I will say that even with those little details, the 4K image gives you a clarity that you cannot get from the 720p, and it brings and pops to the forefront many details that you were not able to see before. Now, in Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, this is a game that shows very well that is first not made directly by Nintendo, so you can see that the artwork is different and how 4K really benefits this game. You can see more of the bokoblins in here, you can see the details on each one of them, when at the original resolution, which is I think 720p, you can barely, you see them as a blob of things going on, but you cannot see the details. You can see the herb here, the grass I mean, working and seeing every single detail on the background, on the houses, on the castles, on Link's textures, on the armor, and it's so much better. And if you don't believe me, look at how it looks here. The only thing maybe you can argue is that the grass may look better at lower resolution because it looks more plenty, but I tend to disagree with this. I prefer the look of 4K, but you can see here in this picture the difference in details on the textures and how even Link, you can see every single detail of the armor that you cannot see while playing on original resolution, and on the background is so blurry that honestly this is not a really good game to showcase on the Switch. Now, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is an interesting point because this game looks phenomenal on the Switch. However, because it uses some sort of reconstruction technique, when you play these at higher resolutions, then you have to use some hacks, and it looks kind of weird. But I'm going to show you how even in that situation, having this game at a higher resolution brings a whole new level of information to the player in terms of clarity. Look at this, look at every detail, look at the textures, look how clear they are, look at the background, look at the character, and look, this just looks so great that it looks like honestly a different game in certain aspects. It brings a lot of details that you were not seeing before. Here the background and the character just look even like a game from this generation, like those anime games. It looks so good because of that and the details it brings. Of course, there are some issues. Now, Metroid Prime Remaster, I am going to argue that Retro Studios know something about the Nintendo Switch 2, because the difference in this game between the original resolution and 4K is just amazing. It's impressive, and I don't think they were not thinking. It's not possible that they were not thinking that this game will get some sort of improvement when the new Switch comes out, because the difference is just mind-blowing. Look at this game now running at 4K. Look at the quality of the textures. If you can see things you were not able to see before, it's just insane the amount of details that we lose while playing this game in original resolution. This game looks like it was made for 4K or higher resolution than what the Switch is capable of, because this game honestly looks incredible at high resolution. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to prove it to you even more with the next scene. Look at this. Look at the details of what we're seeing here on the trees and the plants. This just gets a blurry mess on the Nintendo Switch. It's just, honestly, why so much effort to add these amazing details and textures if this game is not going to be played at a higher resolution? And you may think, oh well, I don't see that big of a difference, or do I need to show you side by side? Well, that's what I'm going to show you, and you're going to be amazed. Look at this. Look at this. Looks like two completely different games. The trees, the vegetation, the rocks, the background, everything looks so different, and the high resolution is so good. Now, this is another game where Nintendo is a master of their craft, because you can clearly see this game running at 4K. It looks so clean that it almost looks like a CGI sort of cartoon or something, because it looks great. But that's not the only change in this particular one. This game is now running at 60 FPS, where it's running at 30 FPS on the Nintendo Switch. Also, some animation on the background runs at a lower frame rate, while here is everything running at 60 FPS. And look at how clean and beautiful this looks at 4K. Look at the textures of the building. You cannot see many of those details on the resolution that this game runs on Nintendo Switch. Now, having this game at this resolution and 60 FPS is a joy to behold. Now, going to the original Xenoblade Chronicles, and this is the Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. This, you can see there is also, because it uses the same technique, some errors on the image. But however, look how much better it looks at 4K. Every single detail is more clear, but also this game is another one that is running now at 60 FPS instead of 30. And that changes the feel of the game, not just the FPS, but everything. This is the real definitive edition of this game. It looks so good. Too bad that there is some artifacts being included now with this emulation, but I still think it looks phenomenal, and I wish I could play like that without the artifacts. But you get my point when I'm saying that 4K adds so much. The last game I'm going to be testing here is this Bayonetta 3. That is a game made by a different studio than Nintendo, in this case Platinum, and you can see when you know a studio is pointing for a different goal, how the resolution improved on the game much more than it does on Nintendo games. And you can see here how everything looks so much better, the breeze on the background, the texture. But if you want to see a big difference, look at this cinematic. Well, this is not video, but it's real time, and look at the details on the skin of the characters, how much better it looks, and some little details that you cannot for sure see when this game is being ran at 1080p or 720p on the Nintendo Switch. Look at all the details. Oh my god, this is so different. So I think some of these new games, they are considering the fact that something has to come out, because I cannot believe the difference it makes, and that Nintendo didn't think of this before releasing the games. So I believe these games are going to get some sort of patching or something, because the difference in clarity and quality you get when just upping the resolution is just big. So, well guys, I hope you like this video, and this gives you an idea of why I think it's so necessary for Nintendo to put out a Nintendo Switch 2, even if it's not only for resolution or for better graphics, but for resolution alone, it's going to be improving a lot of Nintendo Switch games. So yeah, here it is. I'll leave you to it. If you like this video, please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing this with your friends, because it will help me and my channel grow a lot, and I will appreciate it. Thank you very much, and see you on the next video.